This is a game that people have been anticipating since I started this challenge. Today, it's time to talk about Super Paper Mario. Believe it or not, I had never played a Paper Mario game before. My only previous Mario RPG experience was Bowser's Inside Story, and I barely even played it. I admittedly didn't even beat it. So that means I'm using this game as my first impression of the series. Before playing this, I had seen both very positive and very negative opinions about this game. So it's time for me to figure out, is Super Paper Mario worth playing? Booting up the game, everyone just gets sucked into a new dimension. Count Bleck kidnaps Peach, and she's forced to marry Bowser. We get introduced to the typical Mario cast of characters. We also at this time meet Tippy, a pixel, a type of fairy that we will see many types of throughout the game. We're then introduced to Flopside, and immediately are greeted by Merlee, who is essentially the mentor character in the story. He shares with us what is the main collectible in this title, Pure Hearts, with there being 8 in total. It's up to us to collect all of them in order to defeat Count Bleck. When getting one of these Pure Hearts, you need to put it in a heart pillar. This follows with a dimensional door that pops up, which enables you to go search for the next Pure Heart. When Merlee fills me in on this, he gives me a return pipe, which allows me to go back to Flopside at any time. I admittedly forgot about it for most of my playthrough, and chat had to keep reminding me. Entering the door, we get to learn more about Count Bleck and some of his goons, such as O-Chunks, Mimi, and Dementio. I struggled to read what was coming from O-Chunks, and I quickly learned why.
I was supposed to be Scottish, that's why I can't understand.
Learning about Count Bleck's ultimate plan to destroy every dimension, it's now time to properly start Chapter 1. As you may expect, this initial chapter continues to introduce key mechanics in the game, such as how to use Tippy. At any time, you are able to point anywhere on the screen with the Wii Remote, and they'll tell you more about it. And if you couldn't tell by now, this introduction is a mishmash of 1-1 from the original Super Mario Bros. This game heavily leans on Mario nostalgia, and I'm all for it. This eventually leads to Bestivus, who grants us the ability to flip between dimensions. Yet another essential mechanic that will be used continuously. Be aware of the meter in the top left though. If you flipped for too long, you'll take damage. Besides typical power-ups to restore your health, it's also time to be introduced to Pal Pills. You grab one of these, and you get a boatload of mini retro Marios that follow you. The Mega Star has a similar aesthetic going on, but instead of having a bunch of Marios by your side, Mario himself becomes giant. Basically how the Mega Mushroom works in New Super Mario Bros. And this is what spawned a continuous stim I had throughout the entire playthrough.
This is so retro.
And oh yeah, each chapter is broken up into multiple sections. So far everything I've said is contained in just 1-1. The second section starts up with these trippy dimension rotating platforms. This area also has a section that I'm 100% positive is referencing Yoshi's Island 3 in Super Mario World. Continuing the cool mechanics is this pipe that takes me to a further back layer of the background. I'm going to continue to list off everything notable enough that I find impressive visually, because this game is full of that. Eventually, it's time to meet the pixel we can use.
Throw.
It's actually just pronounced throw. I love to overcomplicate things. And yeah, the name is pretty straightforward. You can use it to pick up and throw a plethora of objects. This mechanic is immediately used to pick up a block, and hit this blue switch to unlock the nearby door. I honestly don't remember much about the puzzles that followed this up, but this eventually got me to the first boss in the game. Fractal. You end up hopping on its back, and there's this whole section where you pick up enemies to throw. All of the bosses in this game have their own unique flair. I think as a kid, I absolutely would have popped off at sections like this. Heck, I kinda have that reaction at my current age as a first-time player. Before entering the next chapter, we stumble upon Peach. She's found, except she's sleeping. To wake her, I guess she needs spicy soup, so I go fetch that, and she's up and talking again. This now means that Peach is a playable character. I use her floating abilities to reach the next heart pillar, and now it's time for Chapter 2, Gloam Valley. I love how since I'm using Peach here, the Megastar shows her Mario 1 sprite. It's nothing crazy, but I love all these details. In this room, I casually did a jump off this dude's head to reach the doors above, and people in chat immediately informed me that I accidentally did part of a speedrun skip, specifically Boomer skip. And what is Boomer? Well, he's the next pixel we come across. He gives us a nonsensical quiz before becoming a part of our team. He allows us to blow up blocks, which was the intended way to reach the doors up here. The second part of the chapter takes us into Merlee's mansion, and this is where we first properly meet Mimi. She's dressed as one of Merlee's maids, and sets up all these traps to prevent Mario from progressing any further. After some snooping around, a house key is found, which gives us access to snooping deeper into the mansion. I hit this block, and uh-oh, I broke Mimi's favorite vase, which supposedly cost 1,000,000 rubies. Since the only thing we are carrying is coins, we become one of her debt slaves. This first section here only gives you a single ruby per jump. Uh-oh. I really was not expecting this game to cover how capitalism is just modern slavery, specifically showing indentured servitude, but here we go. Quite a dark topic for a Mario game, but I guess kids gotta learn somehow. Hidden in a 3D section on one of the upper floors, I meet Slim, who allows us to turn sideways, which can help avoid taking damage, and sneaking through small areas. I had already found a room in here that's perfect for this pixel. It allows me to sneak through these lasers, but uh-oh, there's a secret code I don't have yet. In the meantime, I at least found a room where I can earn rubies a bit quicker, thanks to the hamster wheel. I found this guy who for 10,000 rubies will tell me the code, so once I had enough, boom, it was that easy. And holy jackpot, there were 1,000,000 rubies in there. So I go downstairs to pay it off, and Mimi is not happy about this. What? How did you earn enough rubies to pay it off? That's not supposed to happen. No, you've broken my wonderful curse. Nya. Why did she just go nya? Oh, she's dead. Okay. Welp. Time to head to the basement. A projection of Merlee pops up and tells us to be careful. Later on, we run into her again, and she asks for 10,000,000 rubies in order to get the pure heart. But oops, this is actually just Mimi, and it very quickly turns into body horror. Fun. So now I'm being chased around the basement by Mimi's spider form, and eventually I find the real Merlee hiding in the bathroom. But then Mimi joins us. Oh god, how are we supposed to tell them apart? Oh? It's the 66th annual That's My Merlee show? How are you folks doing? What the f? This game is a giant post, and I love that so much. You ask a few questions, and you have to pay attention to how each one answers it. The responses make it quite obvious. It's not meant to be difficult. I find the real Merlee, but Mimi does not like that. She puts up a brief fight, but it was no problem defeating her. This awards me the next pure heart. With Mimi defeated, Count Bleck sends Dementio to go after us. This switches to a cutscene of Luigi waking up, with two Goombas asking for his help. But uh-oh, it's yet another person I've yet to properly introduce, Nastasia. Her job has been to brainwash as many people as possible to turn them against us, and sadly they got a hold of Luigi. So it's time to find another heart pillar, and now we are in chapter 3, the Bitlands, which very quickly becomes my favorite chapter thus far. Whoa. What is going on here? Whoa. This is so retro. Holy shit. This chapter is so retro indeed. We immediately start interacting with Francis, a chameleon that is the perfect stereotype of a terminally online neckbeard. And that won't be the last of him, but I take in some of the scenery first. Well, this is like Minecraft. That's crazy. I love Minecraft. This area appears to be yet another Mario World reference, this time being the beginning of Cookie Mountain. We also get introduced to one of the worst enemies in this game. Bruh. You've been flipped out, you're going back to flip- What? What? What the f was that? Yeah, there's an enemy that takes you out of the chapter. Fun. I also found this pixel behind a bush named Barry, and I'm given details of a supposed nerd lair owned by Francis. After a remake of 1-2 from Super Mario Bros., we stumble into a castle. After enough attacks against the guards, Bowser appears, and instead of talking things out, he wants to fight as well. I obliterated him, and then he finally reveals he was locked in Bleck's castle. This leads to us making a truce to all fight against him. So with that, Bowser is now a playable character, with his notable useful feature being Fire Breath. After a bit of swimming, we are introduced to Fudley, who performs a girth check on Bowser. I've never seen the word girth used so many times here. Anyways, this now means we can perform huge giant ground pounds. This water section ends with a fight against the giant blooper. No biggie. This awards us with a climb up the dotwood tree. And oh yeah, I don't think I've introduced the speed up and slow down mushrooms yet.
Now I have even more health, so that's cool. Holy, this is crazy AF. This is me when I have too many fruit gummies.
Yeah, they got some heavy stuff you can ingest in these worlds. These mushrooms never do anything special outside of changing the game speed, but it's a fun gimmick, I suppose. Getting further inside the tree, it turns into a huge puzzle, and I don't have the energy to describe it in detail. It sucks, and I hate it.
Oh, I swear to God, don't. Yeah. Oh. I wish severe pain to that specific enemy and no one else.
I think most of it boiled down to it being a vertical section and it being embarrassingly easy to lose progress. Anyways, once leaving that garbage, we run into Dementio and give him a piece of our mind before continuing the climb. Yep, there's still more to go. I at least enjoyed this part a little more.
Oh. Wait, what? Oh! Oh yeah, I forgot. Earlier they talked about like the red, to look out for the red things. This is the next red thing.
Yeah, sometimes it's useful to remember a specific detail you were told an hour ago.
Look for the red wind and do something with it, then you can get across. Okay, so we're just looking for red stuff.
Anyways, now it's time for Fort Francis, and we once more get to see the dreamy hunk himself. Eventually, we are greeted with yet another pixel, this time being Carrie, who turns into a rideable platform that not just allows you to move faster, but also go over spikes. And now it's just in time to find what Francis is up to.
Are we heading into his goon cave now? Is that? Oh God, we are in his goon cave. Oh God.
Yeah, there are a couple rooms in here that are littered with posters and other Nintendo memorabilia. I immediately noticed the Virtual Boy next to the other consoles in the background. After finding a couple keys, I go back to the beginning of the fort and use them in these holes, but apparently only Francis and quote-unquote totally hot babes are allowed to enter, resulting in death lasers. And it took me an embarrassing amount of time, but this clue meant that I needed to switch to Peach. And now it's time for another quiz to check out my compatibility with Francis.
Please answer the following questions as true or false. Video games and hot babes are totally high technical. If it's limited edition, buy it. Yeah. I have bought games that I've never played. Well, now I just feel called out. Never pulled the top copy from a pile of comics. Find the mint condition one. Yeah. My first love was an anime character. I love going on message boards and complaining about games I've never played. Oh, I love that. Yep.
Damn, Nintendo threw so many punches in just this one chapter. Dealing with this lets me sneak into Francis's room.
Oh my gosh, it's a hot babe. Hot babe in room. What do I... Oh man, a real girl in my room. This is so high technical. Must calm down. I'm getting way too excited. Sweatles forming. Can't talk to girls, must get my laptop from Fanny Pack. Booting up swoon.exe, activating Nerd2 Babe interface mod with real-time wooing.
Yeah, this dude can't talk to women without a computer.
Is this just a f***ing dating sim now? What is your name? My name? You can call me Annoyed. I'm not telling my name to a geek like you. Whoa, what an ice queen. She's so cold. I'm shocked. Oh man, she's so hard to get, but that's pretty hot too. Jesus. You're so cute, like a princess straight out of an anime or video game. Wow, we are so, like, perfect for each other. It's destiny. We should get married. Yeah, how much do you make? That's important. We gotta figure that out. Who's picking these responses for me anyway? I'm not marrying this dork. I shouldn't even be having this conversation. I aim to save Tippy. Where is she?
And oh yeah, this MF is holding Tippy captive. So now we have to fight him and his camera. With enough hits, he cowardly gives up and immediately frees Tippy. And yay, yet another pure heart. During further conversation with Merlin, the ominous void continues to expand, which means we should get a move on. My chat tells me to go back to chapter 3 to see Barry once more, and he's the first optional pixel in the game, and when in use, gives us a spiky barrier. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot about him for most of the game. Now we are in outer space now, but oops, how is Mario supposed to breathe? Heading back to Flopside, a kid gives us this fish bowl, and once we find a spot for the fish, we can now use this to explore the stars. After a bit of searching, I ran into Squirps, who tags along with us for a bit. He has a firing ability that destroys any enemies in the way, and oh no, now this dude needs to pee. So we find the nearest bathroom, and great, it's occupied. And whoever's in there won't leave until we get them some toilet paper. So after that, it's revealed another pixel was in there, with this one being Fleep, with his power being able to flip the background to reveal things you may not otherwise find. We then later end up in the Wa Zone, which is this huge maze. I hated how much backtracking was required for some of the puzzles, but at least it was satisfying when I solved each piece of it. These blocks that change the direction of gravity were neat. With the puzzles being over for now, we encounter
Mr. L. Type L in chat.
Who could that possibly be? Who knows? We kick him enough till he's impressed, and then he summons his metal brother. But thanks to Squirps, that was just as easy. This ends with Squirps taking us to not just the Pure Heart, but a statue of his mother, and he chooses to stay there. Heading into another interlude, Nastasia introduces Mr. L to everybody else in the crew. She also shares her concerns about Bleck possibly being defeated, and I guess you could say she hits on him? But it's no use. She gets friend-zoned. Getting back to Flopside, Tippy ends up fainting. Merlin shares that Tippy wasn't always a pixel. She used to be a human named Timpani. He saved her with magic when she was on the brink of death, and this current form may be towards its end. This takes us on an adventure to Flopside, which is a completely mirrored world to Flopside. I eventually find Merlin's counterpart here, Nullrem, and yeah, it's the same name just backwards. He helps us with the next heart pillar, and good news. When heading back to Flopside, we find Tippy is back to herself, so the quest continues. Now we are in the land of Craggnons. Seems that some of the residents here were kidnapped by Floro-sapiens, so that's our next objective to tackle. This chapter continued to have what I think is a bit of unnecessary backtracking, but that's not to say this chapter is bad. To get the answer to one of the puzzles, this guy makes us say please over and over again. After a bunch of that, he gives us this long list of directions that correspond to these 3 blocks. Glad I had my keyboard in front of me as well as my chat to help retain information like this. After a bunch of traveling in Craggland, look who it is, Chunks. He is also joined by Dementio. Even with the help, he's still no match for Mario. I later run into these enemies that tell me I have no skill. How rude. I'm greeted by a new pixel, Cudge, and he asked me my favorite word.
There you go.
I'm having too much fun with this. The next section, Floro Caverns, greets me with a local celebrity named Flint Craggley, and I was most amused with the minecart sections up ahead. I eventually got to interact with the last required pixel in the game, Dottie, and oh yeah, we learned the Craggnons were being mind-controlled by the Floro-sapiens. Fun. This cutscene ends with Dottie making this Craggnon really tiny. That definitely awoke something in at least one person who's played this previously. And if it's not clear, this is her ability, making you tiny. This allows me to go into these little baby pipes.
Mario Vor. Yeah. Holy we're gonna have a ton of little retros. Oh, that's so retro. Holy
Uh-oh, we run into Dementio, and I guess this time, Chunks is his dumbed-down slave. When defeating him, the Floro sprout on his head falls off. Putting it on our head, this allows us to get through the scanner that puts us into contact with their king. This boss was a slight struggle for me, but once being defeated, we find the Craggnons were polluting their water, which is what made the king go crazy. And of course, Flint Craggley shows up just in time. He promises to tell the Craggnons about what they've been doing in order to stop this pollution. So I guess we happen to solve a conflict between 2 nations. Cool. Back at the Bleck headquarters, Nastasia punishes Chunks for his failures by making him sing the same song 1,000 times in a row. Then both Mr. L and Dementio show up, with Dementio convincing Mimi and Mr. L to continue their attacks. Now we have Chapter 6, Sammer's Kingdom. With the void looking increasingly large, we must continue. I run into the Sammer guy and defeat him, but then it's revealed there are 99 more people I need to go up against in order to get the pure heart. I struggled a bit on my first try, but I figured out the optimal strategy for me was to use Bowser's flame ability while on carry. After getting past round 20, Count Bleck appears to tell us Sammer's kingdom is about to go bye-bye. Tippy tells him off, and that gets rid of him. The next handful of guys I'm supposed to destroy just immediately give up, I assume because of what Bleck just said. And then we see King Sammer. He offers up the pure heart in a chest up ahead, but instead, it's a bomb inside. And that's not the king, it's Mimi again. This fight was perhaps my biggest struggle point in the game, with it being the first time I game overed. At least that doesn't mean horribly much when it comes to this game. After some more struggling, I do after a bit gain some rhythm, and she's beat once more. But when we get to the 30th one, the world is so close to being destroyed that we are forced to go back to Flopside. The Sammer's kingdom door is still open though, so we go back in, and it's just pure white. After running right for long enough, it's yet another appearance of Mr. L, and the pure heart seems to be dead. Nonetheless, we are falling into another Brobot fight, and while I took a lot of damage on this one as well, I still prevailed. The pure heart is ours. Afterwards, Dementio shows up and seemingly destroys Mr. L. Back at Flopside, we show Merlin the dead heart, but then Dementio shows up here as well. He swiftly removes the entire Mario crew in the same way he did it to Mr. L. Mario wakes up on his own in the Underworld, which is where the people in this universe go to die. The first proper character I come across is a girl named Loveby, and then I soon after run into her mother, Queen Jades, who rules this hellish purgatory. After a bit of talks, she wants me to go back and get Loveby, and if I can do that, I'll receive a pure heart. On my search for her, look who I found. It's Luigi. He has no clue how he got here, but he's a new addition to the playable party of characters. Well, maybe party isn't the best word right now, considering we don't know where everyone else is. At least we can now take advantage of Luigi's higher jumping ability. Not too long after that is when we find Loveby again, and then we all go and see the Queen once again. She makes her daughter apologize for her mindlessly running away, and we get a properly restored heart. With that, Mario and Luigi are sent back to Flopside. So now it's time for the proper start of Chapter 7, and we go into the Underworld on our own terms this time. After enough searching, we run into Bowser, but instead of having a full adult conversation and facing reality, he is quick to start fighting us. I use bombs on him over and over again, and then have to fill him in on where we are. I'm glad to have Bowser back considering how dark this part of the game is. I know I've already said it, but the combination of his flames and riding carry is so overpowered. There are a few door guardians I come across, and wow, the quiz with this door is really testing my ADHD. I got a bit overloaded here. Getting through that one, I meet Gramby and she puts me on a quest to get a book back from her. I do just that, and then I deal with more door shenanigans. This one immediately turns into an RPG-style boss fight, where I need to deal enough damage to the 3 chain chomps on screen, and these guys are not to be messed with. I failed this on my first try, but with enough strategy and HP, that allowed me to squeeze by. We are now climbing further up in the clouds, and this angel immediately calls out Bowser for how attached she is to Peach.
Yeah, she's gotta be feeling lonely without her burly, awesome hubby at her side. Bruh. Pray I would understand this. Is Yon Peach the lady friend of Mario? Hey, shut your trap, Fluffy. You're talking about the wife of Lord Bowser. Oh, really? But this damsel looks large in his regard. Is this not so? A one-sided crush, then? Bruh. Called out. Exposed.
While this chapter is yet another section of the game where I got stuck many times, this was still overall enjoyable. I admittedly had my chat help me a tiny bit here, and I don't have any shame for doing that. The further you make your way up, the more you'll find these hidden side areas that have apples of different colors, such as blue, pink, or black. Climbing high enough, we finally find Peach, but she's knocked out cold. Looks like she shouldn't have eaten that golden apple, so I guess it's my job to feed her the correct one. I first tried a blue apple, but all that did was make her small. So I then went with a classic red, and I thought I had chosen correctly, but oops. This time it made her too big. Pink made her a peach, but then the black one of all things woke her up. because of how gross it is. Anyways, Peach is back in our party, yippee! We eventually stumbled into this cloud, and using the logic we learned from the apples with Peach, we feed him a blue one, which allows us to bounce quite high. And damn, it looks like everyone is frozen here, thank god for Bowser. This last guy reveals that Luffy's father Granby was attacked, and we need to find 3 orbs to rebuild the bridge to get there. So now we go on all these mini quests to collect them, and a Tetris-style bridge reveals itself after. We get to where Granby should be, and instead are faced with an unexpected foe. This leads to a giant battle in the air, with an ungodly amount of sprites, and then we finally find Granby. But uh-oh, we also meet Bone Chill, and he refuses to surrender the next heart we are looking for. But wait, what? Apparently Love Bee is the final pure heart. She was made that way for Granby's secret evil purposes. This leads into a full-on boss fight with Bone Chill, and with enough HP powers, he was slain. The queen enters the room, and Love Bee confirms her grim reality. She needs to transform into the pure heart in order to save the world, and the form she is currently in will not exist once doing so. So yeah, she transforms into the final pure heart. Back at Bleck's castle, Dementio informs everyone that the heroes after them are still alive, and they need to get ready to fight. Before this concludes, Nastasia interrogates Bleck over the prophecy, and tries to figure out what the name Blue Mirror comes from, since it was mentioned by Tippy previously. It's easy to piece together that that used to be his name. Going back to Flopside, it's time to enter the final chapter of the game. It's time to enter Count Bleck's castle, and boy, this is a hefty chapter story-wise. The first person we meet here is Chunks. Bowser is quick to step up and get into a full-on fight with him. The fight ends, but unfortunately the ceiling is falling down. Chunks uses his strength to hold it up before they all get crushed. He tells us to run, but Bowser is too stubborn to leave, so the rest of us leave him with Chunks. Sadly, we must move on without Bowser. Moving forward, why is Merlin here? He makes us hit this blue block, and psych, it's Mimi once again. We get stuck in this pipe maze, and I'm gonna brush over how long this took me to get out of. Let's get out of this. Now we find Merlee, with her asking about my worst fears. By the third question, I had realized I was intentionally being baited, so I chose Francis on this last one, because he's such a funny character to laugh at. I wanted to see him one more time. And here's the Dreamboat himself. We get to fight him again. Bruh. No! Bruh. This is followed up with a fight between Peach and Mimi, and we get to see the spider form once again. After another fight, it's a similar scenario to Bowser. She stays behind to help Mimi survive. Happen to notice a pattern here? Now it's Dementio's turn to pester us. He starts popping up in all these portals, and oh my god, that was frustrating. Oh my god! There's even this room that is full of a boatload of Dementios. After that, I finally directly chat with him face to face, and then he sends me through portals all through the previous chapters we played. We see Lineland again, a brief search through the mansion, swimming in the Bitlands, some more space exploration, visiting the Craggnons, some more White Void, and then some Underworld deja vu. Once this concludes, he says he intentionally sent us to the Underworld, and in fact has been helping us the entire time. He says we can defeat Count Bleck together if we allow him to give us power. After he continues to yap at us, we reject his offer, and Luigi says to leave without him. He can deal with Dementio. So yep, it's another fight. This one ended with him trapping me in a square, yet I was still able to hit him. Was that intended? I don't know. Either way, things are not looking good for Luigi. So I guess it's Mario to wrap this up on his own. There's this giant door maze I have to endure, but I got lucky with my selections, as I made swift progress through it. This means we now get to confront Count Bleck. Tippy, or formerly Timpani, admits her love for Count Bleck. These two happen to have a bit of a history of each other. A lot of this lore I didn't fully piece together until the end of playing this, but anyways, Bleck says it's too late. He must destroy all worlds, and tells Anastasia to step back. So now we are all fighting Bleck, except I can't get past his shield. Then out of nowhere, Bowser, Peach, and Luigi appear. All 4 heroes once again reunite and use all of the pure hearts to destroy Bleck's barrier. So now it's time to fight him for real. After a couple of minutes, it was over. Bleck just wants the pain to be over at this point, despite Timpani having mixed feelings. Dementio suddenly appears, and instead of killing Bleck, Anastasia jumps in front of him and takes the blow. So Dementio takes control of Bleck's Chaos Heart, and even converts Luigi back to Mr. L. So now it's time to defeat Dementio's ultimate form. disembodied Luigi head? Sure. Trying to attack him doesn't go anywhere, and it seems like this truly may be the end. Everybody starts preparing for the worst until Chunks and Mimi find Bleck. Them combined with Tippy do their best to get Bleck back in a fighting position and show the full set of pure hearts. So we are put back in the fight room and see the pure hearts get put to use. They give us a ton of power that will finally stop Dementio once and for all. Luigi pops out of the machine he was put inside, and it seems Dementio tries to hold on to any power he can, but Bleck is more than happy to put a stop to that. He takes everyone back to the altar seen at the beginning of the game and renews his vows with Tippy. This causes a new set of pure hearts to spawn and cancels what was left of the Chaos Heart Dementio clawed onto. All of the heroes and Bleck's goons all wake up on the Flopside tower, and Merlee gives his thanks for all we've done. Yes, Bleck and Tippy are off on their own adventures now. To celebrate, Merlee announces there's many snacks to be had, and after some quick dialogue to wrap it up, credits ensue. So that was Super Paper Mario, and I'm not really sure how to wrap up such a big game like this. The main thing I should do is answer the question I asked at the beginning of the video. Is Super Paper Mario worth playing? And my answer is yes, it absolutely is. This was my first Paper Mario game, and I'm happy to say I am now a fan. Not only am I now interested in playing other entries in the series, but I may go back and 100% this game in my own time. It's that good. Because of that, I rated it a 10 out of 10. How could I not? This game is a masterpiece. I say that, but I'll also admit that there are shortcomings. For example, one issue I dealt with early on was how easy it was to accidentally re-enter doors. I swore even when I wasn't pressing up sometimes, I would still enter back in anyways. On top of that, it's quite obvious that the pointer controls in this game were an afterthought. It's mainly used just for Tippy. I kept forgetting that it even existed. I guess that makes sense considering this was fully made to run on GameCube, and then last second was turned into a Wii title. Despite those minor complaints, neither of those ruined the playing experience in the slightest. Those issues aren't even close to getting in the way of a game as good as this. This title is quite ambitious and engaging. It's full of so many cool Easter eggs, unexpected mechanics, and so many other references that I wouldn't have expected going into it. I mean, the whole Francis thing alone was so funny. I don't think I'll ever fully get over that character. Anyways, that's all I have for today. Even though it may take me a while to once again play a game as good as this, I hope you choose to stick around. It's nice playing some of the best games on a console, but sometimes it's fun to see the complete opposite of that. Thanks for watching.